In the beginning there was nothing, an empty void without stars, a canvas with no paint, a score sheet lacking any notes, and most importantly, a deck builder in Digimoncard.dev with no cards. Today I shall pass on the deck building techniques I have crafted over these past 8 years so you can use your imagination to grab that which is formless and twist, turn, and crumple it into the shape of a deck, then the necessary steps to temper and refine it to be the best possible product you could make. Join me today and ascend beyond being just another tamer or one who is chosen. Let us become those who choose, a true Digimon maestro! But enough grandstanding. You've come to learn, and learn you shall. Now open a new tab on your web browser and carefully enter Digimon TCG 2020 tournament results and copy the winning decks. A true Digimon maestro! For those who want their own deck recipes featured here, though, there is far more work to do. First, we must give shape to that which lacks any. To proceed building a deck, you must first have a concept. Most often, this is a single boss card and will generally be what is referred to when people talk about the deck. This would be cards like Omnimon, Shine Greymon, Full-Force Vidramon, and so on. Other concepts could be a pure rookie or pure mega deck. Perhaps you simply want to see how many colors you can put in a deck, or maybe you simply want to build the best deck there is. While I will focus on a boss build, these other concepts follow very similar steps, and at the end of the video I will give a few prerequisites I believe that should be met before you ever successfully are able to build the best deck. For the sake of this video, I've decided the boss card I would like to build around is the first card of the day shown to us by the English Digimon TCG Facebook page, Leopardmon. Leopardmon is a level 6 Digimon with an average DP of 11,000 and slightly high on-play and Digivolution costs of 12 and 4 respectively. What we'll need to focus on to build the deck around him, though, are his two abilities. The first being that he may play a level 3 or level 4 Digimon from his Digivolution cards, or as older tamers may know it as evolution sources, for free without paying its cost. This will be important later as we look at cards within those levels for combo potential. His second ability gives all of your level 3 and level 4 Digimon jamming, which means that even if they attack a security Digimon with higher DP than themselves, they will survive the fight. This is an extremely powerful ability if utilized correctly, but what we see here is that Leopardmon himself likely will not be winning the match, but rather supporting your other Digimon to finish the game. This brings us to what should generally be our second step, forming your winning image. That is to say, imagining a match with the deck and picturing how you want your final turn to play out with this boss. In a sense, it is your special move, your killer combo, your astral finish. Even decks designed to stall a game out have the winning image of the opponent reaching to draw and losing as they have no cards left in their deck. Now, with supportive cards like Leopardmon, we currently only have a vague idea of the winning image. It will only fully form as we start to collect combo pieces in the deck building process. We may have a better idea though once we find our secondary boss. While not all decks make use of a second boss Digimon, it's far from uncommon, as many decks will end up running 6 to 8 level 6 and up cards. The process for adding cards to a deck is simple. In this case, look at all available level 6 and level 7 cards that sound really good or really conducive to your boss. Since this is an introduction to deck building, we will focus on blue cards. However, once you get more comfortable with the process, know that mixing colors is an option, and level 6s with on-play skills are generally good options from other colors as they want you to play them from hand instead of evolving into them, so you don't need to focus on their colors such as Machine Draymon. Focusing purely on blue and being liberal with the word good for the sake of teaching, I see roughly 6 other Digimon to add to the deck before narrowing them down to 1. Omnimon, Plesiomon, Booster Set Metal Garurumon, Ulforce Vidramon, Godramon, and finally Blue Imperial Dramon Dragon Mode. Let's quickly examine each card and determine why it would either be included or why it wouldn't make the cut. First we have Omnimon. Okay, not blue, but digivolves from blue. Omnimon is a level 7 that requires 15 memory to play, 6 to digivolve, and has 15,000 DP. When you digivolve into him, he deletes all Digimon of a single name. So if there were 5 Agumon, all 5 would be destroyed, but not a Professor Agumon, unless you chose to target him. He can also become unsuspended if you return a level 6 Digimon from his Digivolution cards to your hand after he attacks. He has mild compatibility with Leopardmon in that he would allow you to continuously Digivolve into Leopardmon to play level 4 Digimon from your Digivolution cards. There is a major issue here though, which is that Leopardmon is already costly and Omnimon is only making the memory issues worse. This would in theory be a 3-turn process to have Omnimon even attack, because you would spend 1 turn evolving into Leopardmon, the next into Omnimon, and then another to attack because the heavy memory cost would pass the turn back to your opponent every Digivolution. Still, Omnimon is a nice removal option, so he's always a consideration. Let's put him deep in the back burner for now. Next, we have Plesiomon, often underrated as a vanilla card without abilities. It costs 10 memory to play, 2 to Digivolve into, and has 12,000 DP. These vanilla cards usually serve to simply get to a level 7 as quickly as possible, but have the added bonus of generally killing anything that swings into them when they are in the security, and have sustainability as an attacker. Plesiomon's low Digivolution cost actually complements Leopardmon really well in a game where you would need to Digivolve into your level 6 faster for tempo. The issue is that Plesiomon would be reliant on Digivolution cards for abilities to be useful, and Leopardmon appears to want to focus more heavily on play and when attacking abilities for the lower level cards. Plesiomon is still a mild consideration, it depends on what the rest of the deck looks like. Third on the list, and one of the top contenders, is Metal Garurumon. Like Leopardmon, Metal Garurumon has 11,000 DP and costs 12 memory to play, but is slightly cheaper to Digivolve with a cost of 3. While Leopardmon plays a level 4 lower Digimon when you Digivolve into him, Metal Garurumon does the same, but his triggers when he attacks. This means you may have to wait longer to use his ability depending on memory, but his ability is slightly more versatile and can be used multiple times. What's important though is that no matter who you Digivolve into for your level 6, you will be getting a free Digimon, streamlining your deck into one easy to manage win condition. If Metal Garurumon is chosen, your winning image is clear, flood the field quickly and overwhelm the opponent. Now, Ulforce Speedramon is a fan favorite and is crazy good. His cost and power are all relatively normal at 13,300 and 11,000, but it's his abilities that make him stand out. Every time a blue tamer becomes rested, he becomes active, and once per turn when he becomes active, you gain a memory. This can lead to lethal turns of him attacking 5 or even 6 times. That said, aside from being good, he doesn't offer Leopardmon much and forces tamers into the deck Leopardmon may not want. He's only really a consideration if the deck happens to become tamer heavy, but chances are you are better off just building an Ulforce Speedramon deck instead of ever really considering him as a secondary boss. Next to last on the list is Godramon, who appears conducive to Leopardmon. His stats are par for the course at 11.3 with 11,000 DP, although his on-play is a tad bit cheaper for a level 6. His ability, though, is to restand once per turn whenever you play a Digimon. Sadly, though, while this may work well with Metal Garurumon, who plays a Digimon when it's attacking, as attacking costs 0 memory, Leopardmon plays them when you Digivolve into him, and with his Digivolution cost of 4, that will likely pass it back to the opponent's turn. When you combine this with the fact that even most cheaper Digimon cost at least 3 to play, and the opponents will try to never give you much memory, his ability will generally just be used to keep himself alive by keeping himself active during your opponent's turn instead of getting a second attack. Overall, there are just better options for Leopardmon. Finally is possibly the best card to be paired with Leopardmon, Blue Imperial Dramon Dragon Mode. Imperial Dramon seems expensive with a 13.5 cost and 12,000 DP, but one of his abilities reduces his Digivolution cost to 3 when you Digivolve from Pyildramon or Dino Beamon. He himself has jamming, the ability Leopardmon passes to level 3s and level 4s, but what's truly great is his third ability, which when you Digivolve into him, all of your Digimon with jamming become active. This means that if Leopardmon is out, you could perhaps have 2 or 3 Digimon with jamming that have attack, and then you can Digivolve into Imperial Dramon and have them all restand and swing again. Similar to Metal Garurumon, Imperial Dramon has a clear winning image of swinging with 2 to 3 Digimon, then Digivolving into Imperial Dramon to restand them and win the game. The only detriment here is that Pyildramon and Dino Beamon, or at least one of them, is required to ever consistently pull this off, as the opponents will generally never leave you with 5 memory to use. After examining these 6 cards, while we don't have a clear-cut winning image or even a clear secondary boss, what we do have is clearly defined winning images and mild things to keep in consideration moving forward. What we are going to look out for as we add level 5s, 4s, 3s, options, and tamer cards are cards that promote flooding with strong on-play and on-attack skills. The level 5s are not factored into this, so they should either focus on supportive Digivolution skills or low-cost Digivolution to promote reaching the boss cards quicker. Outside of this scheme, we will also look at all-around useful cards that promote drawing, searching, and memory gain, and so on. While I will show every card I added to this selection, even keeping it within just the blue color, the list will be very long, so I won't explain every card, just those that made the cut. Here's a brief look at the complete list of cards I examined following these principles. Feel free to look them over on your own, and you will likely notice that aside from those that are just generically useful, many have combo potential either with each other or some of the previously listed bosses. While examining them, you may come up with a winning image far different than my own. Looking over this list, I am still very torn between the flooding tactics of Metal Garurumon or the restanding of Imperial Dramon. While I'm not entirely confident at this point that it is the better option, Imperial Dramon sounds more enjoyable to me, so I will proceed with it as the secondary boss. With a clear winning image in my mind, while the other choices aren't easy, it does vastly narrow down the selection to something closer to this. And finally, we have this. With Imperial Dramon being a finisher and a level 6, by the time he is needed, he should be seen even with only 2 copies. While Dino Beamon does benefit Imperial Dramon as a green card, he cannot digivolve into Leopardmon, greatly reducing his viability in the deck, instead allowing me to choose the promo Were Garurumon, who passes an additional security damage to whomever he digivolves into should you have 8 cards in hand, which I'm currently pretty confident this deck will have at any given moment. Both BTO1 Vdramon as well as XVmon promote multiple attacks, while Grizzlymon is a blocker that can be called from your Digivolution cards through Leopardmon, with Monmon being in the same boat. BTO1 Gabumon has a decent on play, and both Vmons benefit from early aggression. It may seem odd to run more Upamon than BTO3 Demi Vmon in a jamming based deck, but I feel in the early game you are more likely to see opponents Digimon without Digivolution cards, allowing for more early draws where Demi Vmon may not be active yet, and by late game drawing will be less of a concern. Let's Stop Fighting will be immensely useful when the opponent has a blocker and you have weaker Digimon out, so you can swing without worry of them being guarded and deleted, while Wolfclaw will allow you to play a level 5 Digimon you may not have access to in order to quickly play another level 6. And finally, we have Davis, who isn't functioning at full capacity as there are no green Digimon in the deck, but will almost always search out a blue Digimon for you, and far more importantly, will always start your turn with a minimum of 3 memory, ensuring your Imperial Dramon play is always available. And with that, we have a playable deck. To summarize the steps, you pick a theme, create a winning image, and then add cards that are conducive to achieving that winning image, all while following certain ratio suggestions. In this case, the deck contains 6 level 6s, 8 level 5s, 12 level 4s, 14 level 3s, and 10 option and tamer cards. The lower level cards should always be abundant, as you need to see them first to level up to the higher end. If those ratios were inverse, the chance of ever seeing a level 3, unless getting draws through digivolving, would be abysmal, although some decks are designed to get away with it. Now, I hesitate to say this, young adventurer, knowing that the process may have been a tad bit overwhelming for a fresh soul. But building your deck is much akin to packing your bag, as the journey has just begun. We must take the deck and see where it succeeds and where it can be improved. Luckily, the steps from here on out, while time-consuming, are simple and easy to follow. First, if you built your deck on Digimoncard.dev, I highly recommend clicking the roll button at least 20 times or so. As long as your ratios are right, it isn't necessarily needed, as it simply generates a random starting hand and security zone for you, but you might be able to notice some issues with your hands and security that could save you time moving forward. The second step is to investigate decks built around the same theme as yours on Facebook, Digimoncard.dev, Digimoncard.net, and other places. While Leopardmon is too recent at the time of creating this video for him to be featured in any tournament-winning deck recipes, if there are any, they will be your best tool. You should look at the differences between what you created and what other people agree is the best build and why. It's pivotal that you create the deck before seeing these other decks so you aren't influenced by them just yet, as the following step will make these differences far more pivotal. You see, the third step is by far the most time consuming, but also the biggest part of the process. Playtesting, not just once or twice, even 10 matches is too little. I recommend a minimum of 30 matches, but you don't necessarily need to use the exact deck you made as you continue to playtest. Maybe by match 5 you realize that where Garurumon is not doing you any good, but Cerberumon would have won you the game. Maybe by game 12 you see the blockers are slowing you down and throwing the tempo in your opponent's favor more often than not, and Davis's search isn't as good as the memory provided by Green Tamer Ken. And hopefully the entire time the differences between your deck and the optimal decks you saw are highlighted in your mind, and you are realizing both why they are optimal and why the choices you thought were optimal weren't. Or on the rare occasion, perhaps were even better. Don't be afraid to play bad cards and go down the wrong route, as it's a teaching lesson for both why it didn't work, but also for situations and metas where it might actually be a better option. By game 30, you still won't be a master of the deck, but you will have become much closer than most and have gained enough experience that maybe it's time to try a new deck. Now, my fellow maestro, I mentioned earlier prerequisites for successfully attempting to build the best deck. To not take it from a list, but to put it on one, something most of us dream of, but never accomplish. First, and perhaps most obviously, you must have created, viewed, and playtested many decks by this point. Again and again until you know the cards and decks of this game as if it were second nature. Second, and coupled with the first, you must have extensive game knowledge. This will likely come with the first, but do not rely solely on your experience. Keep up to date with the rules and rulings of the game. Many times oddities will arise that even veteran players will overlook, making an otherwise innocuous card the best card in the game. Third, you must at the very least know every Tier 1, Tier 2, and anti-meta deck in the game and the exact reasons why they hold these positions. You cannot build a Tier 1, let alone a Tier 0 deck, if you are not privy to why the best decks are the best, as well as why the decks, no matter how good they are on their own, can take down the best decks. Generally speaking, at any given moment, the meta is extremely well defined, crafted and refined through countless playtesting from thousands of players. To make your mark, you need to be among the most experienced and knowledgeable, constantly looking for that one thing that everyone else missed. Even following these steps, I cannot guarantee you will find the promised spot, my fellow maestro, but there is something I can promise. You will rise above your fellow tamers and no longer be a child chosen by destiny to win. Instead, your colleagues will come to you when seeking advice. Instead, should you win, it will be by your own two hands and the hours upon hours of dedication you put into your craft. Rejoice, maestro, for I can teach you no more. It is now your time to be the teacher. What's up guys, Dustin here, and if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash those like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any thoughts or questions about my card choices, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Until next time guys, stay wholesome.